Good evening, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning from wherever you're watching me from. I am super, I'm super excited tonight because my guest tonight, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, I just can't wait. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. This is the Live Again series. It's a series where we feature women who are living again to help women live again, basically in a nutshell. And we've had several guests share their live again stories with inspiring tips and practical steps and insights to living again. We've had a variety of guests, from someone who had a child, another one who, different people that are just living again, and that is their reality. And tonight, hey God, I can see my guest is here. I'm excited because you're about to learn about life abundantly like you've never heard before. So stay with me as I bring in my guest. Stay with me. Welcome, welcome Jay Lado. Welcome Ade. Welcome everyone. Hello. Hey, my sister that God blessed me with. Good evening, big sis.
Good
Oh my goodness.
evening. Can you
I'm so
hear me okay?
excited for
Yes.
tonight. I'm so excited. Thank you
Me
so much.
too.
Good evening, everyone that is looking at me on her page and wondering who be this person. Let me try to do her voice. Who be this person? My name is Enifome, and I'm the founder of the Live Again movement. We help broken, abused, and distressed women live again. And you are on to the Live Again series, and I have the one, the only, the phenomenal. Let me clear my throat so I can introduce her very well. I have a profile here, and I'm going to read it because I just believe in giving honor to whom honor is due. And as an MC, most times I read profiles a lot. So I'm like, you know what? This is our normal. So let me introduce our guest. Her name is, I'm sure you know her name, but let me just introduce her. She is the founder and executive director of Pathfinders Justice Initiative. She's a Nigerian native, yes, from Edo State. It's her pidgin for me. Let me not go there. Let me focus. A thought leader and leading expert on the intersection of the economic empowerment of African women and gender-based violence in sub-Saharan Africa. She's also a trained English barrister and an American lawyer who, when her passion and compassion called her to address these pressing issues in her own country, resigned from her partnership at a New York law firm to become a full-time advocate on behalf of women and girls. Who does that? Only my guest for tonight that does that. Because that in itself, there's a live again story right there. I can't wait for tonight because I know that, hey, there's going to be a lot that God is going to release for us tonight. Utilizing a model that features cross-sector collaborations and public-private partnerships, her commitment to structural transformation of both narrative and the economic landscape for African women, with a focus that extends beyond ending generational poverty. Who is interested in that? Hey, and seeks wealth creation for a generation of women who are confident in who they are. And you can tell that she's confident in who she is, and in the transformative power of their voices. She's a firm believer that if you empower women and engage men as allies for gender justice, you can transform any society.
Yes,
Ladies
yes.
and gentlemen, you already know her. You already know her. But I want you to put in the smileys. I want you to fill in this place with energy. I want you to fill in this place with all the energy you can get, all the fire smileys, all the love smileys. I want you to drop it in the comments before she begins to speak. I'm not even going to tell her to speak until I see those smileys because
By force.
it's by fire by force. So because what she's about to release tonight, and I trust the Lord. I trust the Lord because this is the Live Again series, and it's really a series that features women who are living again, women who have done they've walked the talk. It's not just talk, because there's a lot of talk, but there is very less action, very, very minimal action. So when you see women who are actually walking the talk, oh my goodness, we have to give honor to whom honor is due. Hi, boutique M3 something 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 from Austria. Oh, welcome, sis. I'm excited. I know you can tell. I'm super excited.
Oh, well, this conversation has been a long time coming, so I'm glad that we
We've
finally made it
postponed
happen.
I'm just excited that we're having it now. So I'm going to go very quickly to the first question. For those who are wondering, this is Live Again series. I've pinned it in the comments so that you can know it's really a series where we feature women living again to help women live again. Basically, let me say it again. Women living again to help women live again, right? And so they share practical steps that they took to live again. And my first question for you, what does the term live again mean to you?
Well, I want to say, first of all, thank you. I'm honored to be able to be with you in this moment. And, I believe in divine alignment, so no coincidences. And it was a pleasure to, meet you last year. And, since then, we've just been like running into, our energies have just been colliding. And it's a pleasure to be able to meet some of your community and have you meet some of mine. So, hey, fam. Greetings.
I can't wait for these are my thoughts of the day. Do with them as you will.
Now that's the pidgin English version. These are my thoughts of the day. Now know the thing you want to do with them. But yeah. So what does it mean to live again? For me, to live again is to actually remember who you are. Right. And so I think a lot of times, many of us have gone through life. I always like to say, for any of us who have been through a thing or two, right? The way life don't do strong team. We are sometimes shaped by our experiences, by our environment, by our conditioning, by our traumas, right? And a lot of times we tend to start to show up to life as a much smaller, much lesser version of who God, source, universe intended for us to be. And so for many of us who are in that state of unconsciousness where we are just surviving through, like just barely putting one foot in front of the other. And trust me, I've been there. There have been many phases in my life where because of certain environmental situations or experiences or even traumatic experiences I've been through, I was not showing up to life either not dressed as myself or dressed as somebody else, right? And so for me to live again is to actually start to remember who you are. It's to connect to the divinity within yourself and to step into a space where you show up to life as the fullest version, as a reflection and a representation of the full entire breadth of who God is, because that's exactly who you are. You are an extension of God. You are the magnificence and brilliance of God. And so to live again is to step into your divinity and to walk through life imaging your creator.
Wow, I tell on say tonight. I not tell you now. Me, I'm taking notes, so that's why I'm writing actually, because God, I know that today is a date with destiny. Today is not just an ordinary day. Like you said, it's been a long time coming. And if there's one thing that I know more than I know my name in this season, is that God wants people to live again. It's just a lot of people walking dead, not aware of who they are. And I mean, your definition is so profound. Like, to live again is to remember who you are, because the again is like you don't forget.
You don't forget. Life don't do one thing or two, So, and I think it's also important for people to understand that it's okay. It's okay to be in whatever space that you're in. Life gives us circumstances to shape us so that we evolve into the highest version of who we potentially are. And so wherever you find yourself, I mean, that is day one. As long as you can start to actually trace back to what your original or what the original intention and design of your life was, you can begin from exactly where you are.
Wow. Trace back. I mean, I can't gloss over these things because this is really what the Live Again movement is about. You are speaking our language. You are saying some of the things that God put in my heart when He made me start this movement. You know, at the time when I was knocked down by life and life did me basbos, right? I had forgotten, I had forgotten who I was. The fearless, the bold, the eloquent, and Nifome became a mute, became a what I call bebe. Let me just put it that way, like it was bad, like it was really bad that I really had to remember. I was like, wait, there's more to me now. Not be me. You know, that kind of thing, like really sitting down to say, wait, what really happened to me? And I think that as many as are able and willing to ask themselves that question, what happened to me? You would realize that it's actually an event and it's not the entirety of your life. Like you said, is to show up as you know, as your divinity, like show up in your divinity, stepping into your divinity and imaging your creator. You cannot image your creator and be less. Because and I've also realized that when life knocks a person down, and I experienced this, you tend to see yourself as small. You'll be like, you'll not be judging your life by the things you have, by the things that have happened to you. You'll not be, okay, go, let me, you know. So when you said it, you said it's we tend to show up as a much smaller, much lesser version, and to live again is to really step in again to say, who am I really, and to remember and to show up in the fullness of who we are in our divinity. Oh gosh, you know, I feel like jumping to where you have to give you a hug, but I'll save that for when we see again physically, because my stomach is bursting in excitement. I'm so happy. Let me go to the next question. Have you ever been knocked down by life? And whenever I ask this question, I know the answer, that there's nobody that has not been knocked down. But I ask it anyway because you never know. People are mad, maybe they are jebo, you know, from beginning to the end, and oh hi, hello, and then people see you saying, "These are my thoughts of the day." Maybe they don't know that. Forget though. That's why I like it when you give us you switch, you enter PG, then you give us bass, then you go back again, you do then you go back bass. I love it because it's your authenticity for me every time, and it's no wonder that you do the job that you do with all these women. And really, I just want to say thank you. Well done for paving the path for people like us, because before people like me even know say we're gonna do anything with women where they're abused and all of that, you've been doing the work. You've been, I mean, I went to uni, but not people that went to BIE, people that were in Church of God, so I used to talk about you. Not be today, oh. Not be today. So don't get, nobody should get it twisted and say she just came to Instagram or she's the not be today. And a lot of the work that you do is not even out there on social media. That's the thing. There's a lot of work you have done, and anytime I see people like you, I'm like, you know what? We're not gonna give up anytime soon, because this work has a lot of challenges, and I'm hoping that we'll have some time to talk about it. But really, have you ever been knocked down, you know, by life, and what were the practical steps that you took to begin to live again and to bounce back?
Yeah, you know, I mean, I've been knocked down, but I've also been knocked up quite a lot, right? By life, right? So it's been, I suppose, you know, just kind of ups and downs, and you know, but once I became a lot more conscious, you know, much more aware of the fact that I create my own reality, that the environment does not shape me, but I shape the environment around me. I've had a lot more. I've had a lot more smoothness in my life journey, in my life journey, because you know, I think a lot of times, you know, we go through life, and I think, you know, if you've not been through something, you know, it's, you know, God bless your waka. But for those of us, those of us who life has given basketballs. Yeah, so I've been through quite a bit. You know, I mean, I talk about this pretty often. When I was in my teen years, I was survivor of domestic violence from a relationship with somebody that I was in at the time. I've also survived sexual assault. I've gone through a separation and a divorce, which was also very traumatic for me. You know, I've had, you know, physical ailments. I've had my share of things that I think, you know, have put me in a space where I've chosen to become a lot more compassionate, right? Because when you go through some difficult things in life, you have a choice on how you are going to emerge, right? You can come out on the other side as bitter and angry and frustrated, and choosing to live a life where your life then is what we talked about earlier, where you're a much more diminished version of yourself. Or you can show up and recognize, right, that it rains on the just and the unjust, and that this was part of the reason why this, whatever you experience, is aligned somehow with your purpose, right? So had I not gone through many of the things I went through, I would not have the same level of compassion. I would not have the same level of passion for human beings in general, right? So a lot of how I describe the work that I do is stretching tight shoes. I like to create space for other people and helping to ignite and awaken the divinity within them. I'm not sure if all of this would have happened for me had I not gone through some of the experiences that I went through. And I think when you look back from that perspective with gratitude, right, for what you have gone through, it changes and it shifts your perspective and the way that you show up in your day-to-day reality. So yes, I've had my share, but I think one of the initial things I did, and again, it depended on the particular circumstance, but one of the things that I never allowed myself to forget was who I am. Right. So when you go through a situation, if you are able to hang on to your identity, right, because you're not defined by any of these things that happen to you, right? So I don't consider myself a victim of anything. As a matter of fact, I applaud and I embrace some of the people that have caused me a lot of pain in my life, because they brought me to this space. They brought me to the woman that I am. They helped me to find and remember who I am, right? Because I was maybe heading in a direction where, because some of us get strong-headed like me. I'm not the kind of person that God will be tapping on the shoulder. Hey, Ronzi. Hey. No. I need that. Hey.
Yes. Yeah,
and so I've emerged from many of these situations as a much more refined version of what I was intended to be. And I think the first thing, like I said, is to not forget or to remember who you are. So that was the first practical step. And then I think the second step for me was to express gratitude, right? Find something to be grateful for amidst the situation. A lot of people think, I've gone through, I've been a victim of domestic violence. I've been a victim of this. What is there to be grateful for? And you can always surface gratitude in any situation, because when you're able to find something to be grateful for, even if it's just the lesson that you are learning, that is something to be grateful for. Something to be grateful for. It makes the processing through that valley of the shadow of death a lot more palatable. It makes it a lot. More. It gives you perspective. Because you know that you will be getting through, right? That's when the word of God says, even though I walk through, right, you are getting through. But when you're in a space of gratitude, right, knowing that all things are working for your benefit, right, and you're trusting the divinity within you as well as the divine, then it makes that process so much more easier. Not easy, easier. To walk through.
Oh wow, you need to see my notes. I'm used to this. Every time I have to interview anyone, I'm always taking notes, because like you said, lessons, life. I really believe that a lot of people don't learn from their experiences, and when you don't learn from your experience, there's a high risk that you would repeat the same mistakes, because you're not learning. You're just busy blaming everything and everyone, and even blaming the experience for the fact that you've not moved, and you're just blaming, and there's no real growth. In fact, there's no growth whatsoever. And then when we come and meet you the next day, you're still in that spot. The next year, you're still there, or 2 years after, you're there, and there is really no growth. And pain can do a whole lot more for us if only we're able to really look at it for what it really is. So I took note of some things that you said. you said the environment does not shape me, I shape the environment. I understand this a lot because of Bankole Williams and what he has taught me based off of how we are as human beings, and how that we should not live life from the outside in, but from the inside out, and which is really from a place of our divinity. And so I really understand that. But the truth is, a lot of people have been shaped by their environment. And until they are willing to say, I want to live again, I want to truly live, I want to go from merely existing to truly living, they will continue to be shaped by their environment. They will be victims. And, oh, this happened to me, like you said, oh, domestic violence. This, they'll count everything that has happened to them, and they will keep recounting everywhere they go. In fact, some of them are known, they'll be known for that thing, that, she'll come and rehearse her pain again, or rehearse his pain again, which is not bad, but it puts you in a state that is negative, and you cannot, there is no, I don't know, you're not going to be attracting great things and good things to yourself when you're embodying negative emotions that are coming out as a result of your reenactment of your pain, So I really like how this discussion is going. And then you said you became a much more compassionate person. I can relate. I grew up in a military setting. My father was a military man, right? And imagine a military man that is Isoko. And let me try to explain. I don't know if anybody listening to me has watched the video with Azue Kiye, where he brought the cutlass and we call it Isoko Tolopia. That's what we call it in my place, right? My father had that habit of whenever he was angry, he would go under his bed and bring out the cutlass and do siam. Everybody. Oh, yeah. I'm serious. Wow. Yeah, you would run. Like, who you be, may you know run. That kind of thing. You will run. And I grew up in that kind of environment. So, and then I was in a military barracks. I went to a military school. I read civil engineering. So I was hard. It's always hard. But when life happened to me, I became compassionate. Like, even me, I shocked myself. Like, that kind of thing. So I now realized that, oh, if this didn't happen to me, I wouldn't have been the person I am today. And I began to, approach it with a lot of gratitude. And it's not faking, it's not fake. I'm really grateful. Every time I think of, what happened to me, and for those who are listening, I wonder what even happened to her. Say, why is she ranting about what happened to her? I was abused. I was abused emotionally, physically, everythly. I don't even know how to explain the least, but I was really? I was abused, and I lost myself. I became a walking dead. I was I empty container, like just walking, but there is no substance. There is no, I was eating my food in those days. I would not feel the taste of my food. It was bad. Like, I didn't have touch with my core, like you said, my core. I was just existing. It was terrible. Like, when I look at myself, because I schooled in Uniben, and so I heard the word Edede when I went to Uniben, right? Those Edede, and I know fat, I just slim, I know tall, I slim. So I look at all those Edede, old. That was what the experience did to me. I became something else. So by the time I began to say, you know what, there is more to me. I want to live again. There has to be, this is not the end of my life. And then God began to heal me and all of that. One of the things that he helped me to do was to find the lessons in my pain. And that really, really helped me. I was able to look at my pain and say, this thing was not bad, completely bad after all. I actually learned, and I grew through this. So I can really relate to everything that you're saying about, compassion. And, you said whatever your experience is aligned, whatever you've experienced is aligned to your purpose. Because think about it, God was not surprised, like, hey, oh my God, like God was not surprised when that thing happened to you. God was there all the way. And if we're able to just lean onto God in that moment, he'll be able to bring us out of, everything that we're going through. And then you mentioned something where you said, connecting to the divinity inside. I want to talk about that, because whenever I help women with all these issues of, abuse and all of that, because we have a shelter, you have a shelter as well. So you know how these things run. Sometimes when women go through this kind of abuse thing, have you ever gotten to the point where they make you, in fact, they don't tell you, you get it off them, that they feel like they don't have anybody or they don't have any help? Have you ever gotten to those cases where it looks like, yes, there's some cases that there's no help, but many times I think the mindset of many women who go through abuse is, I don't have help. I don't have help. I have nobody. I don't have one father somewhere that can give me a house or something. And
Mm-hmm.
they tend to look outside for help as against looking within for that help.
Mm-hmm.
And so, for what you said about connecting to divinity, I just want someone listening to know that regardless of what you're going through, the help that you need is actually inside. Is inside you.
Yeah.
That's it right there. You don't have to feel like, oh, I don't have anybody, because that's one of the reasons people stay in abusive situations, because they feel like they don't have anybody. So I just like when you mentioned that, and you said you actually connect to your divinity. Then you said, you embrace people that have brought you pain. We're gonna go there. I'm gonna merge it with another question about pain, because it's not as easy as that, and because you've grown, you're able to do it. But there are people that are struggling with
Yeah.
unforgiveness. They're struggling with
Mm.
bitterness, and they don't understand that they will not grow like that. But even if they do, they are finding it difficult. So I would get into that. But the next question I want to ask you is, why is it important to live again? I mean, looking now at who you are, you said, God had to, hey, he has to do hey before before before, and then looking at who you are now. When I listen to you, and I have to say this because I know I tell you, and every time I see you, I tell you, but I need to tell you again today. There is this ease that your voice brings. There is this love that oozes out of you when you speak. It's more than words. It's more than, oh, let me just come and post. No, 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 no. Someone on your page said, whenever I come to your page, it's like a therapy session. I saw that
Mm.
comment. She said it's like a therapy session. I come here for therapy. And for me, I was like, this is so beautiful. This is really beautiful. And then sometimes I just wonder, what if you chose to exist? What if when life happened to you back to back, you just said, you know what? What if you did not even leave that your job safe?
Mm.
Let's even, like, what if you were still there? So sometimes I really wonder about these
Yeah.
things, that how does a person leave America? America. Like, how network has been in Nigeria for the past how many days? Like,
Mm.
you left
Yeah.
America and you came to Nigeria. There must be. So I really want to know, why is it important to live again? I mean, using your life's experience, what
Yeah.
is at stake
Yeah.
when a person doesn't live again? What is at stake, and why is it important
Yeah.
to live again?
Yeah. I'm a firm believer that that those who bear scars must help the wounded, right? We have an obligation when you've gone through something to essentially um, be a help, right? Be a testament of the goodness of God, right? So I tell the story pretty regularly of the man who Yeshua heals, and he tells him, "Arise, take up your mat, right, and walk." And I used to always wonder, like, why would he still need the mats? I mean, like, this mat was a reflection of something that had held him bound. This was something that he would look at all the time, and it would remind him of what he had been through. But the mat becomes a representation, right, of the goodness of God, of the power of God, right? So when people see you with your mat, they can look at you and say, aren't you the one who used to be? And then because they
Oh my
associate
God.
you, with your mat. They associate you with that thing that life did to you. So much so that people like the woman with the issue of blood was so known by so defined by that label, right? That when people would see the man with the mat was a representation of something that had held him bound. But now it was a representation of the power, the grace, the beauty, the authority of God. And that means that it would ignite hope in somebody else, right? And so when you carry your mat, you are reflecting the goodness of God, right? And so that is why when you have your scars, I mean, there was a time when I used to be ashamed of the things that have happened to me, but now I speak about them boldly because there are people who connect, because there's an intangibility of pain. Anybody who's been through something, you can walk into a space, and when you come into contact with somebody else who's been through that thing, it's intangible. The energy, the vibration is there, and you either can both bring each other down, or you can elevate each other, right, the energy can then be higher vibrational, right? Because you've connected, you both healed, and you're now coming through that thing. But the obligation, and I use that word because that's how I feel about it. You have an obligation to carry your mat, because there's so many people that are going through a thing or two and are hopeless. They have no idea that there is light on the other side of the tunnel. And so, if you've gone through something, you know, the Bible talks about the balm of Gilead, right? I think a lot of times, a lot of people think, oh no, that's Jesus, that's Yeshua. No, but we apply the balm, right? That we're the healers. We're the ones who can heal each other with our words. We can heal each other with our
Yes.
energy. We can heal
Yes.
each other with our
Yes.
touch. We can heal each other with our smiles, with our embrace, with our presence, our non-anxious presence, right? Because when you've been through something, you can sit next to somebody who is going through it. Just your presence alone is healing,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And so that
Yes.
is why it's important that you live again. That is why it's important that you
Wow.
understand that I've gone through this
Oh
thing
my
and there is a
God.
purpose to it.
Oh my goodness. I did not expect anything less. So I'm just, oh my God, the math, I will never forget this
Yeah,
example because it's so relatable. It's
yeah,
like, it's called a label. Like, there's
mm,
a particular woman in Nigeria who just divorced. Is very popular, very popular. She just divorced. And one day she posted something about her preaching on Instagram, and the thing just came up on my feed. So I went to look at it, and I went to the comment section and I was amazed. Like, don't tell me that nonsense. Go and why would you divorce your husband? Like, go and the hate comments there were a lot.
mm-hmm,
And I asked one of the people that were saying nonsense, that since when has it become a crime for a woman who is divorced to preach?
yeah.
Like, who is
And the truth, and
setting these laws?
the funny thing is that most people that are making these comments have no idea what the circumstances were that warranted the divorce. Nor do they even care to inquire. No, they even care to know exactly what the situation was. There's just so much judgment. And I always say, replace judgment with childlike curiosity. Be curious, ask questions, as opposed to your
Yeah.
initial response being judgmental. And Nigerians were very hypocritical, because a lot of times, a lot of things that we're pointing fingers
Honestly.
about, my dear, we're doing the same thing,
Yeah. Like,
behind the scenes.
I don't want to use the word crazy. I don't want to use any negative word, but it's not nice that, because someone can just go and commit suicide
Yeah.
because the person felt, oh, someone spoke to me in a certain way. I was even having small hope, and then this person came along and just made me feel like, oh, because I've done this, I'm now like this. And I think, talking about the mat
Mm,
and the fact that we might always carry that mat. The mat will always be with us. But the mat would also be oh my goodness, a representation of the goodness of God. Oh, that was
yeah.
so liberating. That was so, like, I feel I'm going to use this example a lot of times whenever I encounter any woman who has now, maybe she's on the other side making a very hard decision,
Mm-hmm.
and she needs to know how she's going to cope with all the what will people say and all of that, because that is a real thing. That is real. That is something that, if you don't have thick skin and you're not grounded in your identity, it can drive a
Mm-hmm.
person nuts.
Yeah.
It can drive a person nuts. So I really like that you mentioned that, you said, just as you said, take up your mats. The mat becomes a representation of the goodness of God, and it will ignite hope in someone else. When you carry your mat, you are representing the goodness of God. And
Yeah.
then you said that so many people are hopeless, and this is so true.
Yeah.
Use it, but remember to drop a footnote. Why? That one has nothing now. That one has nothing. I'll quote her everywhere. Because the truth is, when we met, when you're talking about energy, that when people
Mm-hmm.
heal and they meet each other, there is this energy. And that's really what I felt when I met you from the very first time. In fact, I think there was a time we hugged. I think during the retreats when we hugged, I
Mm-hmm.
felt that deep connection. And I'm just, sometimes I wonder, what if I did not heal, or what if I did not live again, would I, like, there's a lot. Sometimes I'm just grateful because, oh my God, I'm grateful. So if you're listening to us and you're wondering, okay, so how do okay, now that I'm existing and life has happened to me, I'm still struggling with all of this pain. I still don't understand what you people are saying. Well, we're going to get into the point where we speak about pain proper and healing. So you might want to stay tuned. And then you have to just invite people, because there are people that need this thing more than you know. Trust me, people are going through a lot, shining on the outside and dying on the inside. A lot of people are working there. The situation in different countries, and not just Nigeria, a lot is happening. There's a lot of ups and downs. And if there's any time to live again in this life, it is now. Because it's that time where you remember who I am. It's not about my economy, my situation, and things happening to me. It's really about who I am within and who God has called me to be, you know. And then you said you have an obligation to carry your mat. I'm going to end it there before I move to the next question. We should stop seeing this thing as is one of the things I'm going to do. It is an obligation. I like that word because it's easy for us to forget where we're coming from when we get into some sort of comfort that, oh, I'm now who I am, so I don't need to remember those that are nothing. And I just really want to say thank you to you for all the work you've done over the years. I think people like you we need to create like award ceremonies and award those who have stood the test of time for things like this over the years. And I know it's going to come a lot. I know you've gotten a lot, but a lot is going to come in this new season because there's a lot that you've done and there's a lot you're still doing. I want to just say thank you, thank you, thank you. I can't thank you. In fact, if you're not following her on Pathfinders, please go and follow. If you know people that are struggling with, you know, sexual violence and all the abuse and everything, please follow her, right? Follow Pathfinders. And there is a lot you can ask. How can I help? What can I do? How can I help? If you know people that need this thing that she's doing, send them to her. If there are those people that you feel can even bring, you know, funds, bring the funds. It takes a lot to do these things. I mean, look at me. I started doing shelter how many years ago? My own was 2020. That's when I started, right? Because I slept on the balcony once. Yeah, and that day was the worst day of my life, where I felt like I slept on the balcony, not because I did not have a bed, but because I was denied access into my own home. And I had to sleep on the balcony that night. And that was the night where I really, really sat down to really think a lot about a lot of things. And I felt when I came out of that experience, I said, many women don't have a place to go when they go through domestic violence. Some of them, their parents are in another state, another village, another, you know, what do? They might go into the wrong hands. They might find themselves in the wrong situation, and it can even get worse from there. And that's how my own started. And it's been a lot. Many times I felt like packing the load to go and, you know, throw it away, you know, that kind of thing. So, yeah. So I think we have to mention it, that these things that people like us do is not easy. So we need all the support that we can get. I mean, you not ask me to come and be saying all this about support, but I just feel impressed in my spirit to talk about it because we, you know, if you know that you can help, go to the website, Pathfinders. I think it's Pathfinders JI. Right?
Pathfinders JI.
That's it. Yeah. Go to that website and donate. Donate. This thing takes a lot. It takes a lot. So let's move from, okay, these are people that have carried their mats and they're using their mats to give hope to others. They need all the support in the world. Thank you so much. Let me go to the next question because I can stay here forever because there's a lot to unpack from there. Next question.
Thank you.
How do you handle pain? And this question, I'm going to tie it to the question where you said you have embraced the people that caused you pain. Please, how? Because people that cause us pain, some of them are the most annoying human beings ever. The Bible describes them as difficult people. Yeah, the narcissists and the likes. How did you do that? What was the process like? And were there times when you cried? And how do you handle pain now that you've come into the understanding of your identity, your divinity? How do you handle pain? And how was it for you embracing the people that caused you pain? For someone that is struggling with unforgiveness and bitterness and needs help.
I think it's important that you recognize that you know, whatever whatever reality, wherever you are in the current reality, embrace it, right? So whether you're forgiven, whether you've not yet forgiven, whether you're in the process of forgiving, that's fine. I don't think there's any judgment that should be placed against anyone who is in the process, because forgiving is a difficult,
It's
it's a
hard,
difficult
very
process.
hard.
Yeah. But I think one of the things that really was helpful to me was understanding that unforgiveness is a choice, right? So, and it actually does you more damage. I mean, we hear people talk about this all the time about how, hoarding unforgiveness in your body, the amount of stress that it creates, the amount of, illness and disease that it can potentially create. But when you're going through the thing, you're not thinking about, you're
Yeah,
not thinking about, oh,
so
let me forgive
yes.
this person, let me forgive this person so that I don't end up with high
Exactly.
blood pressure. No. But there were many years when I would think about some of these individuals, and I recognized that there was a judgment that was being cast against them. But I think what liberated me from it was understanding that I too have caused other people pain, right? And so if I were to continue to hold
Mm.
on, the same way that I would, if I were to continue to hold on to the unforgiveness, then there was no justification whatsoever for the forgiveness that I was seeking from other people for the things that I had done. And so I was able to also understand, right, that I have a bigger calling, right? I was able to understand that what is within me, and what needs to be birthed on into the earth, as far as what has been purposed for me to do, would somehow be diminished by me holding on to things that have happened to me in the past. And so, to be able to step into the fullness of your divinity, you have to be able to reflect the source. You have to be able to reflect exactly who you are, right? So, which is love, joy, peace, patience, long suffering, goodness, kindness. I mean, these are the attributes of who you are. That's who you come from, right? So, and there's no unforgiveness and bitterness and wickedness, and there's nothing in that is a reflection of that. And so, my obligation, I am more intentional about reflecting the source and ensuring that every time somebody encounters me, they walk away thinking, you know what, I feel seen by God, and that was more important to me than being, showing up as a lesser version of myself. And so I think once I combined all of these thoughts together, I was able to let go, and recognize too that these people were actually intentionally placed in my life for my good, right? And being able to embrace them and to be able to say, you know what, thank you. I just had a birthday, and I thought through some of the people in my life that I would have defined as having hurt me, and I just sent them blessing. God bless you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, for showing up the way that you did. I pray that you find your own healing, but for what your presence in my life purposed for me, Eshe, now good day. Value. Yeah.
Hmm. And it's not from a place of I'm just doing this. It's from a
Mm.
genuine, authentic place. And that is the place that I really think that is the best place to be, where you're traveling light, you're not carrying baggage, you're not carrying a lot of load, because life in itself
Mm-hmm.
can be a lot. So imagine you're traveling on a very long journey and you have a very, very big, heavy load at your back. That's what all the unforgiveness and the baggages and the bitterness and everything. I think you've said it rightly, that knowing that unforgiveness is a choice. And I think one thing that really helps me about unforgiveness is saying, now me, now this thing they affect. You understand? So
Mm-hmm.
I think when we see that this thing is going to affect me, that can bring about a sort of turning point, even though it's still difficult,
Mm-hmm.
but and I also know that there are degrees of the forgiveness. Sometimes you think you've forgiven to
Yeah.
a point, then something
Mm-hmm.
happens, and then it's a test of that forgiveness that you say that you have. But I absolutely believe that at least starting the journey is actually going to help someone. And I'm led to say that you should please guide someone into forgiving, like in this very moment. I'm led to do that right now.
Mm.
I forgive you, or the things that come into your mind, breathe and everything. Please, in this moment, just help someone forgive someone that has caused them pain
Mm-hmm.
and that is currently hurting or has been hurt and is finding it difficult to go past that.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did you hear what I said?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry. I think the connection broke for a moment.
Okay, I said
Yeah.
that I'm led to say that you should please help someone in this very present
Yeah.
moment to forgive in this moment. Someone that
Yeah.
is has listened to us to this point and they're like, I really want to forgive. I want to live
Mm.
again. And I know that forgiveness is pivotal to my living again. And I want to do that now, having heard you and heard us. And I want you to just please in this very present moment help someone forgive now. Like help someone on that journey, probably with
Yeah.
anything that comes to your mind right now.
Yeah. I mean, I think, if you're listening to us, right? And, I think, we're two examples of people who could have chosen differently, right? And we're not asking you to do an easy thing, right? I think I want you to know that we understand how difficult it is. This took me years to get to this space. So we're not asking you to immediately, leave everything behind. I think the first step is that you just take a step into the direction of understanding that you deserve to be in a space where you are whole, right? And you will not get to wholeness when you still have, like she was saying, you're still carrying this heavy baggage on your back. But understand that you deserve wholeness, and you also do not want to reinforce the intention of whoever it was that hurt you, because the longer you continue to hold on to consider yourself victimized by this thing, by this person, by this situation, you are reinforcing the intention of what that person wanted to have happen in your life. And so just think about it is what we're asking. You don't have to do it in this moment, but recognize that you will never be able to step into the fullness of who you are. And for those of us who have children particularly, there is something called generational trauma. I don't
Trauma.
believe in generational curses. I don't believe in generational curses, but there is something called generational trauma, and you
Yeah.
will pass any unresolved
It
traumatic
transfer.
reality you will transfer to your
Oh
children,
gosh.
and if they haven't processed it, they will also transfer it to their children.
Transfer.
And so this is an opportunity for you to bring healing to yourself, and also to
Your generations.
reconsider, right, the reality of what's going to happen to your children if it's unresolved. So just take one baby step in this direction, of understanding that you can be whole, and you can forgive, particularly because you have hurt other people as well. And the grace that abounds towards you from God for the things that we have done, right? We have the capability to offer to somebody else.
Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Oh my God, this is such a peaceful moment. I just felt like the whole atmosphere changed when you were speaking
Mm,
just now about forgiveness, because this is really, like you said, a very difficult thing. And I feel like God is going to continue the work, that has been started here tonight. And I know that it's going to bring forth a lot of testimonies. When you were talking just now about generational trauma, I can relate to that generational trauma. The funny thing about all these things, whether you say you are a born again Christian, you're a Muslim, you're a pagan, whatever it is you believe in, these things are laws, these things are principles. There
right.
is you need to pay attention to it. That you think it will not happen to you doesn't mean it will not happen to you. In fact, that's not the reason why it will not happen to you. If it happened to your mom, your dad, and they went through that pain and they did not deal with it properly, process it, and just really analyze it for what it was and get the juice and the
Mm-hmm.
lessons out of it, and just know that it has served its cause, and be grateful for that and release that energy intentionally towards that thing, you would pick
Mm-hmm.
it up. And a very good case in point is that when I was growing up, I witnessed a lot of things happen in my home that I felt, what is them. It's not me, it's
Mm-hmm.
them. And then when I got into life and I started seeing those things in my life, I had questions. And I like when you said curiosity. many times we're not asking because we have several mindsets. You can't ask God questions. You can't ask someone that is senior to you questions. We have a lot of roadblocks and mindset blocks that makes us not to ask questions. And the truth is, if you don't ask questions, you will not get the answers. You will not get anything. Because for me, I had to start asking, why did this thing happen to me? What did I do? How did I contribute? And of all people, why would I attract such a person in the first place? Like I was asking so many questions, and then I realized there was a door, there was something that had happened. There were things that I witnessed that seeped into my being and brought forth that kind of experience that I was getting. And that's why I'm very committed to helping women live again, because I believe, and this is not in partiality to men, I believe that this is my belief. I believe that women are nurturers. They have the grace to carry and to grow things and to develop things within. I know everybody has that capacity, but I believe that women have the tendency to really birth. That's the word, birth. And so if a woman is carrying pain, the truth is she's going to birth pain. She will birth it in multiple folds beyond anybody's imagination. But if she's able to carry healing and wholeness, just imagine what she will birth. And this is why it's so important for you to live again. You cannot continue to exist. Okay, next question. I'm trying to rush.
And I think it's
because of
also,
time.
I mean,
Okay,
just on that, just to piggyback off of that, the truth is that, if you are, generational trauma is real, especially
very real.
if you're in a space where you are stressed, during a pregnancy, you can literally, and this is scientifically proven, you can literally change the genes of your child, because of the way that the stress is transferred to that child. So the parents may, you sometimes you have kids and you're like, this is why is this child so? It's like when you look through what the mother was going through during the pregnancy, you will find that, oh, that explains why this child potentially is the way that he or she is. So it's really, really real. It's important that you are mindful, and you become a lot more self-aware, and a lot more emotionally intelligent. But yeah, please continue.
Yeah, please. I like that point. I'm going to reiterate it. Become more self-aware and more emotionally intelligent. I don't know is not enough. I don't know is not an excuse. There is Google, there is YouTube, there is Reb Idahosa, there are people, there is Bankole Williams. Like every day she's like, there's so much knowledge. Don't come and be saying that I did not know you don't know what to do. Go and find what to do. Go and Google it. Go and, there was a lady that said she was a business, and I'm going to call her name. Emeka Ike is a popular actor in Nigeria and all of that. He came up on the news and said a lot of things about his wife. And his wife has been quiet for years, but she felt the need to speak. And one of the things she said was when she noticed the way she was being abused, and he would say, I will kill you, and all of that, and all the things he was doing, she had to go on Google, and she checked, and she saw something about sociopath or something like that. That it was when she Googled that she saw that, oh, this thing is a thing. There's a name for a behavior like this. I'm actually being abused, because sometimes it's even ignorance. You don't know you're being abused. You are justifying it with different English they are using. Like, my head not correct. So, they have to, they don't shout at me, I'll not get it. So they have to beat me first before. And then you're just justifying it, and it keeps getting worse and worse and worse. So there's really no excuse. You can just Google how to become more emotionally intelligent. Trust me. Allison will open. It's a free this thing. You will learn it. Like there is a lot. You don't have an excuse. You have to learn these things for those coming after you. Don't think that nothing is going to happen because it looks like you're living the life. There is the life you are living. There is the life that God designed you to live. If you're not living the life God designed you to live, you are not living. So there's no need. And those coming after you will struggle to live just because you didn't. So this is it's a serious matter. Take your life seriously. Like she said, be more mindful, be more intentional. Take your life seriously. A whole generation is counting on you. Right? So thank you so much for that. Let me continue. Next question. Please, if you have anything that is strikes you and you want to drop, because I can't see the comments. I don't know why. Let me go. Oh, okay. Okay, where can I purchase your book? Someone is asking, where can I purchase your book? Can you just say that quickly?
Oh yes, yeah. So I have a new book that I launched on my birthday, March 8th, called the Unedited Series, and it's a compilation of divine lessons from life's unedited outtakes. So a lot of the things that we're talking about, some of my the lessons I've learned, things that I've learned from other people as well, right? Because we're all, we're all here learning together,
Yeah.
and so you can purchase that on Seller. And I'm this week I'm going to also have it on Amazon as well for purchase.
Oh wow.
But if you send me a
So
DM,
please go get
send
that.
me a
Yeah.
DM, yeah, send me a DM, and I can send you the link. But actually, it's in my stories right now. So if you want to
Yeah. So
check
just
my
click the
stories,
stories and get it quickly, because knowledge is
yeah,
power. The Holy Book says, "My people perish for lack of knowledge." A lot of times you don't know these things, and not knowing it is not the reason why it won't happen. Someone just said something now.
mm-hmm,
I have never heard about generational trauma before, but it really
mm,
makes sense. Well, now you know. Like Favor said, now
mm-hmm.
you know. Now you know. Like now you know. Go and work on it. It's really a big deal. For me,
Yeah,
oh my goodness. I mean, you heard when I was talking about it in Recode. It did me boss. I never experienced it. I just thought when you're beautiful, and this is for women, when you're fine, and for men too, maybe you have a good job, you look good on the outside, you're very fine. People say, man, fine boy, fine girl. They've told you that you should go to school. You went to one of the best schools, you've come out top grade, you're doing what you're doing, and then you're noticing some kind of pattern in your life. It's a
mm-hmm,
pattern. So it didn't just happen to you. There was someone, there was something, there was a door. And if you're able to really sit to say, okay, how did this come? How did this come about? You'll be able to trace it, and then you can block that loophole with
mm-hmm,
your own intentional living and lifestyle. And because of you, those coming after you will not have to go through what you went through. How beautiful is that? So don't keep it,
exactly.
because like I always say that patterns you cannot ignore a pattern. In fact, if you ignore it, it's at your peril, because it's
Mm-hmm,
there. It's just best for you to look into it and be intentional about doing something different and just going against it and ensuring that that ends in your lineage. So thank you so much for
mm-hmm.
sharing that. Okay, next question. What would you say to your 10-year-old self? Honestly, I'm imagining, with this your long hair, I'm imagining your 10-year-old self. Because I learned how to
Yeah.
do this thing when I was 10 years. All these things that we used to do. I learned it when I was exactly. Come on. I
Yeah,
love
no,
it.
I think I'm trying to remember what I even looked like when I was 10. I think I had low cuts. I had low cuts. So, um, yeah, when I was 10, yeah, I was just going into boarding school, and I think that was when a lot of my trauma actually started.
Mm.
I I went to boarding school in Hillcrest in Jos, and it was the first time I ever experienced racism in my life. It was in Nigeria, and I was like, how can you be coming to my own country as a white person and you're
Wow.
not coming here and now being racist towards me? Because I was one of these children that was very intentional about speaking what it was that reflected my true self, right? So I was not a child who you know who was like
No,
shy, or I
you
was
did not grieve
very,
for anybody,
yes,
child.
I
No grief
know
for
agree,
anybody.
yeah. And so I very early on I got labeled as quote unquote rebellious because I was always talking back, and if something didn't make sense to me, then you needed to make it make sense, right? And so that period of my life was, really began some really tough times. I didn't want to go to boarding school. They forced me to go. I was crying, kicking and screaming. And then when I got there, I realized that these were people that were essentially assaulting the image of God within me, right? Trying to diminish me to something else. And so I think one of the things I would say to my 10-year-old self was that, continue to reflect who you are, right? Because I think at some point, when people kept telling me, because I was just trying to be myself, right? So me asking questions was being myself, me being curious, me, responding and speaking back was me being myself. But people started telling me, no, that person does not get validated. The person who gets validated is the person who looks like everybody else, sounds like everybody else. And for a few years, I actually shrunk, because I recognized that validation was what I needed for survival. at that point. And when you're a child, you need people to like you so that they can feed you, so that so they can clothe you. But I in many ways, and I'm somebody that doesn't live with any regrets, but I would tell my 10-year-old self to continue to speak, like continue to show up as God intentionally, God intended you to be at that point in time.
Wow. We have very similar experience, childhood experiences.
Really?
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was that child that used to ask. My hands were always up. Auntie, I
Mm.
like if I don't understand something, I'm already asking. There was no shame anywhere. There was no I don't understand. I don't understand. That was who I was. And then people felt it was overbearing. So they'll say things like, are you the only one? Did somebody else say it? Why are you the only one that said it? Next time, wait, let
Yeah.
somebody else say it. Then when the person says it, you now say it second. Then you now
Mm-hmm.
say it third. Then you and you don't even have to say it. Just go to the back. Just keep quiet. Are you the only?
Yeah.
And I heard these things so much that it programmed me. And like you said, you shrunk. For me, I shrunk from someone who was very confident to someone who felt she had big head, flat nose. And I, in my entire secondary school, I just, you know how they say you pass through secondary school and secondary school does not pass through you. That was how it was for me, because I had a serious, in fact, deep inferiority complex and low self-esteem that came out from all of that I felt, oh, I'm not good enough, let me not join people when they're doing socials. So I didn't do any socials. I didn't do anything. I was just there, and then I don't have any picture from secondary school. Can you imagine? Save one picture that I saw under my bed. I used to hide because of the way it was, but then I said, well, I love this picture. But then again, I can relate to what you're saying about shrinking. And I think that this is a good place to say that many people that think they are quiet have actually been silenced. Because I always ask the question, are you quiet or have you been silenced? It's okay if that's who you are. You're a quiet person. You don't like talking. But if you're someone who used to talk, you like to talk, you love to talk, but every time you shrink, there's trauma there. There is.
Yeah. Yeah.
There is. And you can't keep letting the world tell you how to behave, how to eat, how to bath, have your bath, you can't. You have to live again. You have to live the life that God originally planned for you to live. You really don't owe it. See, my father told me a story when I was a child of a man who was on the horse and he was riding on the horse. And his people said, this man is wicked. He just left his son to be riding, to be walking, and he's riding on a horse. He said, okay, let me come down and put my son up. And then he put his son up. And then somebody passed again and said, this man a mumu, this man is foolish. How you gonna trek? You're picking a ride for horse. If not me. The man said, oh, okay, oh. Two of them now came down. Somebody said, these people don't have sense. So they're not allowing the horse to just be going empty like that. The man said, oh, okay, let two of us climb the horse. They climbed the horse. Somebody came. Should we want to kill the horse? You want to kill the horse? These people are heartless. Like, it does not even end. Even if you died today because of somebody, they will still say there's a way you died. There's a way you should have died. They did not die. They died very well. There's a particular popular pastor. His name is Apostle Femi Lazarus. He said he almost committed suicide 14 times. Someone is saying, I remember very well in school how people made fun of you. Your secondary school classmate is here.
Wow. Who is this?
Yeah.
Who are you, Kembo? Sticker 7. Really? Yes.
Wow.
I was bullied. I was bullied in school. I was also chubby as a child. So that combination, in that combination, I think was an effort to shrink, the divinity within me, right? And I was just trying to be myself. I was just trying to be myself, and people were like, "Nah, man.
This yourself is not selfing. This yourself is not selfing." Hey. Oh my goodness. I'm so happy. Look at what she said. She said, I'm so proud of who you've become. I wanted you to see that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Please send me a DM or whoever you are.
Exactly. You guys need to connect. You guys need to connect. And there's just a lot of these things. People that are silenced. Did you go to Nigerian secondary school?
To where?
Who is this? Okay, it's basically referring to me.
Oh,
Oh,
you.
please
Okay.
declare yourself. Please, who
Declare
is this person? Yes.
yourself. Yeah.
People made fun of me. They said I had yam leg. Oh my God. Let's not go into that conversation.
Yeah. Come on, show
Oh,
yourself,
please
please. Tell us who
send me
you
a
are.
DM. I can't wait. Wow. Yeah, I went to Nigerian Navy Secondary School, like I told you, military school, military barrack, military everything, military. That was my life, you know. Oh wow, thank you so much for sharing all of this. And I think for someone that is listening, there's a lot of I hope that you're getting a lot of hope. I hope that you're getting a lot of hope and that you're finding the desire to live again in the midst of our conversations, because that's the reason for all of this. And we'll really be happy that you're getting hope and that you're feeling like, you know what, if they can live again, I can, right? I can live again. And that's what this is all about. And like I was saying about Apostle Femi Lazarus, before I go to the next question, he wanted to commit suicide 14 times. And he had said on his live feed that he wanted to commit suicide 14 times. And do you know what someone told him? The person said, you know serious to commit that. If you
Wow.
say you won't commit the suicide, I get it. If you come meet me, I for show you how you go take do am. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, I always find, you know, it's so true that hurting people hurt others, right? And I always, when people talk like that, I always imagine the depth of
Yeah.
pain, you know, that they're in, right? And how brutal they must be to themselves,
Yeah.
because it's true, it really is true that out of the abundance of the
The
heart, the
heart.
mouth speaks.
Ah,
Yeah.
and you know what he said after he said that thing was, you really need to take, you know, I always say something that what happened to you was not your fault, but healing is your responsibility. If you
Absolutely.
can't keep, because what he was trying to buttress with that statement was that you have to get to the point where you decide to live again. Because if you're looking for pity, you're looking for hey yeah, pele, hey do, hi, are you still, and that's all you look for day in, day out, year in, year out, month in, month out, week in, week out. The world has nothing to offer you, because like you said, some people are hurting, they're also in their own pain. They're looking for who will come and save them, and you are there looking for who will come and save you. You know, so it's time to live again, like we rightfully said in the Live Again series. It's time to live again. There's no other time again to live again than now. So I really like the fact that we're having this. Okay, next question, and it's the second to the last. Would you describe yourself as a resilient woman, and why?
Yeah, I don't like that word resilient. I don't like the word
Okay,
resilient. Yeah,
first person I'm
I actually
seeing that does not like.
I yeah, I've actually I wrote an article about why we must stop calling African women resilient,
Okay.
because what tends to happen is that when you call someone resilient, it then takes the focus off of the reason why that woman has had to be resilient, and now places it on the woman as, okay, let's applaud your resilience, but then let's not do anything about the reason why you had to become resilient. And what you really need to address is the root cause that's forcing women to become resilient, right? So that's why I don't like the word resilience. I try to see myself more as evolving, right? I'm a very different woman than who I was last year. I'm very different from who I was yesterday. Please don't hold me to anybody that you saw, even earlier today. I'm a work in progress,
Yeah.
and you know, and because I am tied to my values, the more I learn, the more I allow myself to show up and respond as a different person, as a different version of myself, as a more evolved version of myself. And so I understand what people mean when they say resilient, but you know, there are many things that are happening to you know, to women and to women's bodies, that when they applaud us and say, "Oh, you're such a reason, you've been through so much," you're not really addressing a lot of the systemic injustice, a lot of the subjugation of women, a lot of the, you know, societal patriarchy, you know, issues that are underlying, that forcing us to be resilient. And so I prefer to see myself as someone who
An
is an
evolving woman.
evolving woman.
I
Yeah.
love it. So for me, I had to had to learn a lot about resilience because there's a lot of wrong notion about resilience. What people think is resilience a lot of times is fake it, chest it, take nonsense, and just keep tolerating rubbish, and odeshi, like they say in Igbo parlance, like, oh, they enter me. So you see someone that is going through a difficult situation and is saying, I can chest it, I can chest it. I'm using Igbo accent now. That's not resilience. A lot of people think that, oh, that is. When I began to understand that resilience is there are 5 core pillars of resilience, that changed my mindset about resilience. Self-awareness, purpose, mindfulness, positive relationships, and self-care. Those are 5 pillars of resilience. So for someone who has those 5 pillars, that person is already a resilient person. I think is knowing, resilience is knowing when to stop. I always say this, resilience is knowing when to start, stop, continue, and pause. Some people don't know when to pause. They just keep going and say, I'm resilient. No, you're not resilient. You don't know what is resilience. So for me, I really feel is that balance, and is that really knowing that when you're resilient, you're self-aware. I'm tired, I want to rest. That's resilience. Not you're tired, you're still trying to prove to the world that I got this. And that's how most people think resilience is, and that's why they bring that meaning to it in terms of what you just mentioned now about how they see women that have gone through or that are going through these things. I think that's really where the problem is. But one thing I can say is that people just need to know that everything they need to be strong is inside of them. And that inner strength is actually what resilience is. And knowing that I'm strong inside. I might look weak on the outside, but I'm actually strong inside. And if I'm able to tap into my inner strength, there is no situation that I cannot face. It will not, like you said, your environment will not shape you, but you are the one that will now shape your environment because you have tapped into your inner strength. Okay, last question. And for those who are listening to me, I don't think in the past 30 minutes I've said who I am. And someone just asked now and said, who is your guest speaker? Let me reintroduce her. Her name is, should I say barrister attorney? Let me not put sand before they come and find me. Rontiade Benson Idahosa. That's who she is. She's amazing. She's someone who has done a lot of inner work. And that's why when she speaks, she releases healing and peace and love and joy. And anybody who listens to her and does the things that she recommends, you would find yourself operating in a higher frequency, showing up in a higher energy that would make you to live life in the quality of life that God has ordained you to live. So that's who she is. My name is Enifomeo. That's my name. And I help broken, abused, and distressed women live again. That's the work that I do. It came out when I also went through abuse, and God told me, go and help other women live again. I didn't save you for you to go and sit down in your house. I saved you for you to go and help other women. Many women are just walking dead. They're not really living, and they're just existing, and he wants them to live life abundantly. Before I go to the last question, I want to say thank you, Holy Spirit. People will be wondering that they've come again, but thank you, Holy Spirit, because he just reminded me of a question he wanted me to ask you before we leave, and it's very important, and he just reminded me. You did a post, you were on Wolfbeck. Yeah, thank you, Lord. You were on Wolfbeck and you spoke about life abundantly. And in fact, that was the reason, that was the main thing that I said, oh my goodness, this has to happen, because the way you explained it, you said people talk about life abundantly. They say it a lot. They quote the scripture, but they don't understand it, and they're not even living that life abundantly. And I personally believe that if we don't live life abundantly, what Jesus Christ came to do was a waste. Personally, because I feel like after all those wahala that he went through, I will now be like, so I personally believe that it is attainable, it is obtainable, and it is the life that God wants us to live. And that is actually interesting. I don't know if I mentioned it to you. That is the theme of the Live Again outreach. As a matter of fact, when I started planning, I felt, God, are you the one really saying that? Is this you that is putting this in my heart, that is life abundantly? But when I saw your video, oh my God, it was a confirmation for me. It was. So that's why we're having the Live Again outreach, to help women live again. And we're doing a lot of inner work, spiritual, emotional, mental, physical, and financial. Because, some people, when they go through life's difficult situations, they think that God is angry with them, or they themselves are angry with
Mm-hmm.
God. You can relate to that. And or they have this broken relationship where they see God as a tyrant, or they see God as, where
Mm-hmm.
were you when all these things were happening to me? So that's why we're dealing with the spiritual side. And the emotional, of course, is on baggages and weights and all of that. Then mental, I always say that you left Egypt does not mean that Egypt has left you. You can be carrying
No.
Egypt everywhere you're going. So that's why that one is necessary. Because, and I'm sure you know this, when people come and stay in your shelter, for example, and then they leave sometimes, they might be malfunctioning. That's where you now have to do the inner work for them and all of that. So that's why the mental part is really there. And then the physical part is really helping them, like you said, when women go through, or people, so that those I'm being partial. When people go through pain, they see themselves as small. So for that part, what we're doing is just helping people know that, oh, your confidence, helping them build their self-confidence again and their self-esteem. Then the financial part, we're giving 20 women business grants of 100,000 naira each.
Wow, that's
And then,
wonderful.
yeah.
Wow.
And then we're helping them leverage what they have in their hands. And that one, I learned how to teach what you have in your hand. From my own life, I did not have a job when everything happened. I had to
Mm-hmm.
start emceeing, and I was doing it part-time initially with my job, but I started doing it full-time. And then from there, it grew. I just started growing and growing. And that was the only thing I had in my hand at the time. So I really want to
Mm-hmm.
teach those women how to leverage what they have in their hands. You're not empty.
So
God did not
important.
create you
Yeah.
empty.
Yeah.
There is something you have now that you can start using. And if you're able to commit to it and be consistent, you would find yourself growing. And so that's where that part is. We're also partnering with job agencies to give, jobs. It's a buffet. Like it's a
Wow.
buffet. And then we partnered with Oriki to give 40 women free massage therapy. So there's a lot we're doing. We're
Nice.
doing
Oh my
free
goodness.
makeover. Yeah, free
Wow.
makeover, free photo shoot, free hairstyling,
Uh-uh.
free fashion styling. Yes, everything is free. And because when you have done aspire to perspire, you can live again. Go and live again.
Oh my
If
God.
a woman has a picture, for example, this is the picture, and she can see herself and say, wow, now maybe this, oh my
Hmm.
God, God punish devil. I can live again. I beg, I will live again. So that's why we're doing that part of, physical parts and, everything with the
Mm-hmm.
whole self-esteem thing and all of that. But one thing I know is that God wants his women to live again. And he said to me, it is life abundantly. So that's why I want you to, it's like the topping on the cake of this. If we
Mm.
do all these things and people don't know that life abundantly is accessible, it's not for people like you. It's not for people like, oh, she was born a Bessie. That was that thing. That. Don't tell me that one, Jared. No. I
Yeah.
really want you to speak to that, because that's really something that God is really serious about in this season and what the outreach is about. For those that are asking, if you want to join the outreach, it's in Lagos. So if you're not in Lagos, you cannot attend. It's for only people
Yeah.
in Lagos. Yeah. So if you want to attend, just click the link in my bio and join. Maybe I should put it in the comments. So
Yeah,
please go ahead.
definitely put it. Definitely put it.
Okay.
I mean, first, what an amazing holistic initiative, right? Because I think a
Yeah.
lot of women, a lot of people will just focus on, oh, let me just focus on inner healing, or let me
Yeah.
just do a crusade and address
Yeah.
spirituality.
Oh
But
God.
you need all of these things
Yeah.
to start the process of healing, because you have to be able to see yourself, right? As beautiful, and
Yeah.
see yourself as mentally and physically whole. And so, fantastic. I'm also going to donate. I'm going to
Oh
donate
wow. Thank you
yeah.
so much.
So, so for one scholarship for one woman, I'm going to make a donation
Oh
to
wow.
help support. And so, if any of you are
Thank you
on
so
my
much.
page and and you're one of my followers and you'd like to support this amazing initiative,
Oh.
please send me a DM so that we can support and support so many. There's so many women and men, but primarily women who are going through a lot now. And so yeah, whatever I can do. I'm not in Lagos, but I can definitely send my money send my
Oh
money
wow. Thank you so
to help.
much. So
Yeah,
grateful. Thank
definitely.
you. Thank you
Definitely.
so much.
But there is such a thing as abundance in life, right? It's the opposite of scarcity mentality, right? I think a lot of
Mm.
times we tend to think, oh, it's what do I need to do to tap into abundance? When the truth is that we need to actually remove our limitations, right? Remove the things that we have placed, right, to diminish the abundance that is constantly abounding towards us. Recognize that there is a benevolence in the universe, like, right there, like source is constantly just pouring towards you. But either sometimes because of our own traumas, because of our own experiences, we tend to limit, right, the way that we receive, right? And if your hands are closed, if your heart is closed, you're not going to be in a space where you can receive abundance. And so this whole idea of understanding that you're not just living, right? You're not just getting through life, right? You want to be able to step into a space where you're able to be full of yourself. And many of you have heard me talk about being full of yourself, right? Because that is the only space from which you will be able to pour into others. And so that whole idea of living a life of abundance is so critical. It's so critical, particularly in times when we see scarcity, right, all around us. It starts here in your mind to understand, and in your heart, where you can get that heart-mind coherence, where your heart is thinking, where your mind is feeling, and where your words are also, that your heart is feeling what your mind is thinking, and your words are also correlating with both of those
aligning.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh wow, that's so beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. So it's actually obtainable. It's not for a select few.
Yeah.
It's really just the understanding that there is abundance. It's the recognition that there is abundance. And there's a particular story that I always think about whenever I hear abundance. And I think is, the story of Hagar, who was at the well. The well was
Mm-hmm.
right there. It was there. It's not when the angel came that the well now
Mm-hmm.
appeared.
Mm-hmm.
The well was there, but she didn't see it because you get a problem. Go say cover your eye. You know go see. You know go see anything. The thing is there, but you're not seeing it. So I think this calls for shifting your focus, especially in the times that we live in now. It's easy for you to look at the negative news and then just have all those people on your feed that keep coming up with all the negativity. But if you're taking all of that, it's more difficult to step into abundance because you're not seeing anything
Mm-hmm.
working. You're not seeing anything looking good, right? So just knowing that, look, there is abundance and focusing on that thought that there is abundance can go a long way, and many things can come out of that. Ideas, new opportunities, problems. There's something that Bankole always says. And by the way, I want to recommend the SOAR program to anyone listening. It's happening end of this, no, first week of April. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
a program by Bankole Williams. That program changed my life. That was the program that helped me to do a lot of inner work. I would like to recommend it to you. First week of April, it's coming up. Go to I Am Bankole and join the wait list if you want to get in. That is something that would really help you. It helped me live again. Okay, not to digress. Where was I? Oh my goodness. I was talking about something and I went to Bankole Williams. But anyways, abundance is totally obtainable, and it really has to do with your focus and how you can see things. Because if you're looking at your problems, yes, I remembered. Yes, thank you, Lord. So Bankole gave an example of a man who went to India, and the man went to
Mm-hmm.
India and they had no shoes. And he said, you know what? I'm leaving this place. I'm going away from this place. And he left. Another man went to India and said, they don't have shoes here. Hey, see market. Who can guess who that man was? Where that man is from? He said, hey, see market. Oh. And then the man quickly just went there and brought in shoes and started to sell shoes, and he became a millionaire. So I think at the time where there is gross darkness is the time where there is supposed to be a lot of light that is shining. But if you don't see yourself as a light and you don't focus on opportunities and you're always thinking about problems, you will not live again. In fact, it will push you from living again into existing. And that is not where you need to be. Someone is laughing at the market. Okay, so please, your last words to any woman. And if somebody asked the question that how do I find my purpose? And I was like, hey, where we want to start from for this question? So I don't know if you're willing to take a go at it. But I don't want to say your last words to anyone that is listening, that has listened to everything we've said, and they're like, whew, this thing hard. Oh. How do I'm still finding it difficult to truly live. I've existed for so long. Who's that? Okay, oh, okay. Someone is saying they forgot the name, but they remember the story now.
Oh.
Okay, so existed for so long, and they actually want to leave this IG life and go and live again. But they feel like, oh gosh, I'm still struggling, and they just need one more last push. What would you
Yeah.
say? What would be your last words to that person?
You know, that's always a difficult question for me, because I think, you know, so we have to meet people where they are, right? And there's the process of change, the process of transformation is difficult, right? But you know, when you're able to make up your mind, right, that enough is enough. The question I always like to ask people is this working for you, right? So whatever you're currently doing, is it working for you? If you recognize that no, there's something that you've heard today that is trying to, you know, that has ignited something within you, that has awakened something within you. The first thing I think I would recommend that you do is start to do some meditation. I know people you know, particularly in Christian circles, sometimes we're like, meditation, okay, I don't want to open my portals, you know, for you know, but the truth is
Portal
that
care.
you were, yeah, your portals.
Wow.
You were intended to hear both of us tonight, right? There was some level of synchronicity, of alignment, and something that's resonating with you. And I think what you have to do, because everybody's in a different space, is go into a space of meditation and really just ask source, ask God, like, what is the next step for me to take here? Because I don't know what that is. None of us know what that is for you particularly, right? And so I think the first thing you have to do is really just connect with the divinity within you, right? And that is where you find healing. That's where you find wholeness, because it's not, there's nothing external that we can say. I mean, I can certainly give you some general guidance, but to be able to really step into the breath of what God intended, you have to be able to connect, go back to the owner's manual, right? And ask the source, like, what is the next step for me here? Because God has placed you on the earth for a reason. You're purposed for something, right? And I always like to define purpose as your unique creative energy that ignites hope in other people once you start to walk in that direction. And so if there's something that God has purposed for you to do here, look at that mat that you're carrying, right? There's a reason why God spared your life or saved you for such a time as this, as we say. And so go into meditation, connect with the divine, and you will get real time instructions on what your next step would be.
That is so profound. And I think that is a one size fits all solution that you've given, because it works every time. It works every time. The kingdom of God, the kingdom is within you. So when you ask the questions, the answers are actually within. And many times we're looking for the answers outside. And all the answers I got, there was a time I told Bankole something. I said, I was asking one question and I kept experiencing one pattern. And I said, what is this now? I've prayed, I've fasted, I've done this, I was really angry. I was like, what kind of thing? And it wasn't a big deal, but it was a big deal to me. And let me even share that thing. I'm a speaker. I speak, I talk, I sabi talk. So when person vex me, I go, don't talk finish before I realize I don't talk. Yeah, it was a pattern. So I will say,
Yeah.
today, I will not answer anybody. Today, I'm going to tell them Jesus loves you. The next thing, I'm already full, and I'm like, oh God, I did it again. That was my pattern. That was what I was dealing with. And I said, Lord, what is happening? So I kept asking that question. And I heard these words. And I want to leave someone with these words today. I don't even know where I'm going here, but I feel this for someone. I heard, the principality doesn't have power over you except with the principle you are breaking. Today, I go back and I say it again. I said, the principality doesn't have power over you except with a principle you are breaking. Oh my goodness. And that's not the first answer. I have gotten answers back to back to back, because I asked and I sat still and I said, I want to listen. Because we pray, Nigeria, if you're in Nigeria or a Nigerian, or you have encountered Nigerians, or you are among those people that join all the prayer, I don't know. We start pray. It's good though, But there's a time where you now listen to say, what am I hearing? What am I listening to inside of me? What is God saying to me now that I have finished shouting and praying? What is He saying to me?
Yeah.
And just really
Yeah.
asking those questions. The kingdom of God is within you. Trust me, it works every time. Sit with yourself.
Yeah.
Ask those hard questions and you will get the answers. And I'm sure that you'll be able to move into your next step and begin to live again. Whoosh, thank you so much, sis. Hey, God. Just so that when I see you next, the hug I will give you, people will be wondering what's going on. But anyway, me, I'm used to it. So people say, she's so dramatic, she's so extra. Leave it. That's
It's
who I am.
okay. That's
Me.
how we'll take you like that. We'll take you like that. We love it.
So I'm so grateful. Thank you so much. My note is full. I'm going to post this in the replay when I post it on my page. I'm going to write everything that I got for someone else to learn. Someone is saying, what principle I am breaking? Food for thought. Yeah. It was transformational for me, and I thought to share that for someone. So thank you everyone for joining. If this video or this IG live was a blessing to you, please share it with someone else to give them hope to live again. Thank you so much, sis. God bless you. God
You're
bless you,
welcome.
everyone. We gotta
Thank
go
you. Thanks for
now. Thank you for
joining,
joining
fam.
us.
Those are our thoughts of the day.
Do
Do
with
with
them as
them
you
as you
will.
will.
How can we forget?
Bye,
Bye. Good
sis.
night, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.